and welcome to the Winning Daily Show. We're here for August the 24th. We got a slate of stuff to bet on today. Some WNBA, a lot of WNBA action, some Carabao Cup action, a little bit out in Winston-Salem on the ATP Tour. Couldn't find much on the women's side of things that we liked, and a little bit of Major League Baseball today. So let's get into it and see what we got for the day today. We're going to start out in Major League Baseball, and we're going to start out with the Los Angeles Angels minus 125 versus the Baltimore Orioles. Really interesting here. Dylan Bundy comes back to the Baltimore Orioles. He's been really terrible this year, and pretty much everybody has been terrible on the Baltimore Orioles. So this will be an interesting game overall. The Angels come in on a 3-game losing streak, not to be outdone by the Orioles, who come in on an 18-game losing streak. And my theory on this, if you're giving me minus 125 on a team that's lost 18 games in a row, I'm taking the minus 125. So we're going to ride the Los Angeles Angels. Hope Dylan Bundy has a decent day today, and more than likely just hope the Los Angeles Angels hit a little bit today and continue that losing streak for the Baltimore Orioles. Next up, we're going to double down on our bet from yesterday. We're going to take the Chicago White Sox to get over on the Toronto Blue Jays. Once again, White Sox getting a little bit of plus here at plus 105. Matchup seems just about even with Jose Berrios on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays, the Minnesota Twins trade deadline acquisition, and Dylan Cease on the mound for the Chicago White Sox. Overall, just think the White Sox are a better team here. They're on a bit of a losing streak. They've lost 4 of their last 5, but I do think they'll bounce back here. The Blue Jays were not exactly coming in as a red-hot team in this series, so let's ride the Chicago White Sox and see if they can get back on track after a little bit of a losing streak here. Not much for them to totally play for since they're so far ahead in the division, but I think they want to keep that winning ways alive. So I look for the White Sox to bounce back here and get a win. And then we'll go to a showdown in the NL Central. Cincinnati Reds, Milwaukee Brewers. We got 2 bets on this game. We're going to take the Cincinnati Reds plus 165 over the Milwaukee Brewers, and we're also going to take the under versus 7.5. This should be a really, really good matchup here. Tyler Mahale versus Corbin Burns, 2 really, really good pitchers this year. Corbin Burns has just been on fire, probably the lead candidate for the Cy Young so far this year, but this should be a really, really good game. Milwaukee sort of struggled a little bit in that National Series before winning the last 2. The Reds have been red hot, putting themselves right there in a wild card contention, I believe, even jumping over San Diego. So we're going to ride this Reds hot streak. Think this will be a really, really good game. Like splitting the bet here with the Reds and the under. I think this game definitely goes under, and just that nice little plus 175 juice on the hot team here and the Cincinnati Reds should be pretty good value. So let's ride the Cincinnati Reds and the plus 170 to see if we can get a win here. Also, the under at 7.5. All right, let's go out to tennis. We got 2 in the Winston-Salem tournament on the ATP Tour. We're going to first take Frances Tiafoe minus 135 versus Andy Murray. These two haven't matched up a whole lot. One matchup last year in the Cincinnati Masters. Andy Murray took a 3-set victory here, 7-6, 3-6, 6-1. So maybe a little bit of a Andy Murray ride, but I just don't like Andy Murray's form right now. He did have a nice win versus Noah Rubin, 6-2, 6-0 in the first round of this, but I just think Frances Tiafoe, too young, too athletic here to get past Andy Murray, who's ranked 114 right now. Tiafoe 51. Both playing about the same level, but Tiafoe had a nice little Canadian Masters here before disappointing in Cincinnati. Andy Murray essentially gets to the second or third round and then loses. This is a second round matchup, so let's see if the young legs of Frances Tiafoe can get past Andy Murray here, and the nice little value of minus 135 for Frances Tiafoe. Lastly, 3, we're going to take Alexander Bublik minus 110 versus, this one will be a fun one to say, Imai Rusevierov. I don't know if I got that right. I'm assuming I butchered that, but Alexander Bublik has not had a great hard court season, but I think he's good enough to play on the hard courts. A little bit has been bad matchups. He opened in the Olympics with Denny Medvedev, then flew after those Olympics to play in that DC tournament, got Ken Nishikori, disappointing loss there, but then once again got into the Canadian Masters and met Medvedev in the second round, lost that one. And then got to the Cincinnati Masters and met Dimitrov in that second round. Probably should have won that one, but anyway, he's had a bit of a tough matchup so far on the hard court season. I look for him to really beat Imai Rusevierov from Finland here. 76th ranked player in the world. Bublik at 37. Much better player. So really sort of good value here at even money on the minus 110. All right, we mentioned a lot of WNBA action, so we're going to take one on every game here. I really like these matchups, like a lot of underdogs, and one not so much an underdog. We'll start out with the Los Angeles Sparks plus 3.5 going to the Washington Mystics. Tough game to go cross country, but right now the Los Angeles Sparks are the hottest team in the WNBA, and the Mystics losers of 4 straight. So while the Sparks are winners of 4 straight. So we're going to ride that. I know the Sparks have struggled on the road, just 3-6 away, and the Mystics are at even 500 at home, but that's not all that great a home record. So I look for these Sparks here to bounce back and really handle the Washington Mystics and continue their hot streak. So I think them getting 3.5 here, even going cross country, ride the Sparks and their hot streak plus 3.5. Next, we're going with the biggest game of the day and maybe a possible finals matchup here. The Las Vegas Aces plus 2.5 versus the Kinetic Sun. Really like the Aces going cross country here. Aces have won 3 straight. The Sun are won 4 of their last 5 and just continue to be pretty much the best team on the East Coast. They are 10-1 at home, which is a little scary, but I just like this Aces team with Aja Wilson and Liz Cambridge. Think they'll be a really good team here. So we're going to ride the Aces and the plus 2.5 here in what should be a really good game, maybe a finals preview. Next up, we're going to take the Chicago Sky minus 225 versus the Atlanta Dream here. I really wanted to take this money or this spread, but just didn't see quite enough value here. The Chicago Sky have been pretty disappointing this year, but the Dream have just been awful. 3-8 overall at home, 6-17 overall. So there's really no home field advantage here for the Atlanta Dream, and I just look as the Sky as the better team here, so they should be able to go down there and win it. We don't have to worry about any spread here. They just have to go down there and win by 1 point, the better team here. So let's look for the Chicago Sky, who are 7-4 on the road. So they actually have a better road record than home record. So ride the Chicago Sky money line at minus 235 here. And lastly, we're going to take the Minnesota Lynx plus 3.5 versus the Seattle Storm. Seattle, after a tough little losing streak here on this road trip, pretty much finish it up versus the Minnesota Lynx. Seattle, a little bit better team here. But I think as they close out this road trip, they'll have a tough time versus the Minnesota Lynx, who are 7-3 at home, and really a pretty solid team here. Are they as good as the Seattle Storm? No, not quite, but they have some fine players, just like the Seattle Storm. Look for Sylvia Fowles to really have a good game here today. So let's ride the Lynx as Seattle closes out this road trip, and let's take the Minnesota Lynx plus 3.5 here. So a lot of underdogs in the WNBA, but we really like getting the points here in these matchups. I think there's really good value. All right, Leslie, let's get into some soccer and the Carabao Cup. We got 4 matchups we like. We're going to start out with Norwich City, plus 100 on the three-way versus Bournemouth. At first glance, this looks like a pretty bad matchup because Bournemouth has sort of had the head-to-head overall here, but they played in the championships in April. And Bournemouth took that one. They took another one here the time before. So they've just had their number. Really, the only one Norwich has won was when they matched up in the Premier League 2 years ago. But I just think this Norwich City team is a better team. We might get a little bit of Josh Sargent today. I think Norwich will look for the win. They've started off so poorly in the Premier League. They'll look for the win today, while Bournemouth, I think, is looking to win in the championship and get back into the Premier League. So I think you have two teams on two different paths here. Norwich City looking to get a win here, get their season kicked off, so maybe they can spin that into a Premier League matchup. Bournemouth, I think, focus will be on winning games in the championship and getting themselves back into the Premier League. So we're going to ride Norwich City here to get their first win of the season. Norwich City plus 100 versus Bournemouth. Next up, we're going to take Wimbledon plus 145 versus Northampton Town. Really like Wimbledon here. A English 2 division in Northampton Town versus a League 1 team in Wimbledon. Overall, Wimbledon has had the head-to-head matchup 3 out of the last 5 they've won. They've been in solid form, I'd say. Wimbledon has. They've gotten wins over Sutherland, I believe. So I just like the way Wimbledon is playing here. A nice win over. Oh, they lost the Sutherland game. They beat. Who did they beat? They beat Charlton Town. That was the one that done. They've had a slow start to the year, but I do think they're a better team. 1 win, 2 draws, and a loss. So they play things tight to the vest. But I think they're a better matchup here than Northampton Town, who's a sort of mediocre side overall in the League 2 division. So I look for a little bit of a bump here in for Wimbledon to get a nice win over Northampton Town. Tough road matchup, but I like AFC Wimbledon here. All right, next up on the slate, we're going to ride Queen's Park Rangers minus 150 versus Oxford United. Really like Queen's Park Rangers here. They haven't had much head-to-head matchup, just like the start Queen's Park Rangers has had on to the season, starting out with 2 wins in the championship and a draw versus Barnsley last week. Had a win in the Carabao Cup to start out. So I just like the way Queen's Park Rangers is playing. Oxford coming off a bad loss in League 1 to Bolton Warriors. So let's see if we can get Queen's Park Rangers a victory here over Oxford United. Queen's Park Rangers playing at home. So let's ride QPR here over Oxford United. And lastly, we're going to take on Wolverhampton minus 165 versus Nottingham Forest. I don't know how many of the actual Wolverhampton players will play. I think some of the young kids for Wolverhampton will play, and that should be more than enough for Nottingham Forest. Also, much like Norwich City, Wolves have had 2 tough losses to start the Premier League. They've actually outplayed both Leicester City and Tottenham with nothing to show for it. So I look for Wolves to want to get into the mix here. They are going to Nottingham Forest, but Nottingham Forest has been really bad so far this year in the championship. 3 straight losses, 1 to Bournemouth, 1 to Blackburn, and then a tough loss to Stoke City. So overall, I just look for Wolverhampton to sort of out-talent them, getting pretty good value at the minus 165 because they are on the road. All right, that's what we got for you today on the Winning Daily Show. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can get all the Greenlight Network content. We got a couple more football previews coming. We got the NFL preview with Achilles Reign on the AFC and NFC South. And then our man, Dynamite David, will be in with with us on Thursday, as always, to break down the Big 12 and the ACC, getting into the big conference matchup. So be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of that content, along with Winning Daily and a new know-it-all coming soon. That's our show, and we're out.